Hey folks, welcome back. In this week's video, we're going to take a look at how you can shade a rectangular structure. So this time we've moved the light source over towards the back, somewhat facing us, but facing more towards our left-hand side. And we're going to denote the areas where we want the attached shadows to be, as well as the cast shadows. And again, as you're learning these things, it's very important to keep things simple to where you can understand what it is that you're doing. There might be a tendency to do something fancy, and when you're learning the fundamentals, it's always a good idea just to kind of take it slow, keep it simple. So that being said, whenever we're dealing with faces that are away from the light source, in this case, this particular region right here, this entire trapezoidal shape that is facing away from the light source will be the darkest, and it's going to be relatively uniform in terms of its shading. We're also going to have a cast shadow. So on a new layer here, I'm going to draw and extend these two lines out. And your question might be, well, how do I know where the shadow should end, right? And one way that we can figure that out is we know that we have two segments from our rectangular structure. We have a vanishing point that is somewhere over here. If we come back from the vanishing point and extend outwards, we can see that this box represents the shadow. We're going to use that knowledge to go ahead and shade the attached and cast shadow. So I've put this information on its own layer, and because we're dealing with straight lines, this is going to be very easy. We can use the polygon lasso tool, make a selection on the face that is on the actual rectangular structure. We'll shift to our shader brush. We'll make the shader brush just a little bit bigger than the side, and we'll paint with vertical strokes. And we can see that it's roughly, the value transition is very, very, very slight. You know, the bottom part here is going to have the least amount of light, so that's why I'm denoting it darker. And then the area that's kind of towards the top, you might see a little bit of that light bleeding over. So it's close to being a solid value, but it's not exactly. Let's make a new layer and then render the cast shadow. So again, with the polygon lasso tool, putting this on its own layer. I do that just because if I make a mistake, I can easily repeat just one step instead of having to go back and do the whole thing. And I'm going to shade, and the area that's closest to the edge of the box will be the darkest. I can deselect that. I can hide the underdrawings, and we've got basically attached and cast shadows for a rectangular object. Again, the goal here is to have something that's believable. I'm not going for something that's super realistic. It's just enough to get a basic understanding of how shading works. So hopefully you found this to be informative. If you did, let me know. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.